Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chronicles of Hollywood History, past, present, and future. Welcome. And here now, Corey Gomez.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chronicles of Hollywood History, past, present, and future. Today I am joined by, you might know him from Streets of Fire, you might know him from Knights of the City, you might know him from CB4, but he's also got a new show, Sangre Negra, coming out on Tubi in just a few days. I am here with Mr. Stoney Jackson. How are you doing today?
What's up, Corey, my man? How you doing?
I'm good. You know, I've been meaning to talk to you about Roller Boogie.
About what?
Roller Boogie.
Oh, my God. You know what's funny about that movie, man? I just talked to Jim Bray. Recently. And he wants to, me, him, Jimmy Van Patten, and one of the other actors, Albert Insignia, they want to do a roller boogie union organizer thing to raise money for some charity. So he's actually right now in the midst of trying to put that together.
I always thought Roller Boogie and Disco Godfather should have teamed up for a sequel.
That would have been fun.
That would have been great. No, I saw Roller Boogie. And Linda Blair, of course I saw Roller Boogie.
Oh, that's my girl, man, Linda Blair.
Savage Streets, my favorite Linda Blair movie.
Hey, I bet you didn't know that Linda Blair used to date Rick James. I
did not know that.
But you know now.
Now I do. That's crazy. There had to be some crazy parties there.
Oh, yeah. Linda's another really down-to-earth sweetheart. You will love her.
I guess I should ask, before I get into more Roller Boogie, how did you get started acting?
Well, my dad was a doctor in the Navy. And I always knew when I was a little kid that I wanted to be an actor. And so my dad had to get stationed somewhere. We had three choices. We were either going to go to Rota, Spain, the Philippines, or Long Beach. And I even knew then, when I was a little kid, Long Beach was next door to Los Angeles. Los Angeles is the capital, Hollywood. So I was like, telling my parents, can we go to California? Can we go to California? Because I just knew. But the crazy thing was, I wanted to go out of the country again so bad, and I was just stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I knew if I went to Spain or the Philippines, I wouldn't get to Hollywood. So I talked my dad into going to California. And that's how I came out here, or we came out here. And then I started doing commercials. I did a lot of commercials when I was in my teens. And then that led to me getting a theatrical agent. And I think one of my first parts I ever had was on an episode of Quincy with Jack Klugman.
Okay.
And I played this kid who was strung out on drugs. And then the episode was with Michael Constantine. Remember him from, I think he was on Room 222?
Yep.
Yeah, and Jack Klugman. I think that was my first theatrical role, my first acting role. Pretty sure that was. And then, then I started guest starring on, different TV shows. I did one with Dennis Beaver called Stone. It was a short little series that he had. And I even did MASH. Did all those shows back in the day. And it just kept, kept going, kept working. And then I ended up getting on the White Shadow in the last season it was on. That was my first TV series. And one of the worst experiences of my life.
And why was that, if you don't mind me asking?
Because most of the actors on there, I don't say most of them, a lot of them were really, the ones who had already been there in the first two seasons, They're really egotistical jackasses, man. It's not nice people, dude. Not nice people at all. And even the producers, the only producer on that show was Mark Pinker. That was like a decent, nice guy to me. Everybody else was not nice. Even Ken Howard was kind of a jerk. And it's weird because he and I did this celebrity golf tournament, and we ended up, after the tournament, we went and sat down, and we just talked and talked and talked, and I told him what I'm telling you about my experience there, and I was just like, man, that was not a good time for me. And I was like 17 or 18 years old, man, and most of those guys who were playing high schoolers, they were all like almost 30 years old, and they just were not nice people. And so I told him that. I said, even you were kind of a jerk back then. He goes, yeah, I know I was. And he ultimately ended up being like the sweetest guy. And he apologized to me if there was anything that he had done. And I was like, man, this guy, you're a sweetheart, man. And it was really nice of him to say those things. And he became the person that he was. He even told me, he says, yeah, I was young. I had a big head. And I was like, oh, wow. But he ended up being a really nice dude.
How was, if you don't mind me asking, how was Timothy Van Patten?
Well,
I asked because for those not listening, he was a guy whose nickname was Salami, and I could never figure that out if it because he was Italian or because he was supposed to have a big dick. They never really explained it in 70s time.
It was because he was Italian.
Okay, well, now that's just racist then.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't really an overtly nice person to me, but I had done roller boogie with Jimmy Van Patten, who is actually his uncle. I mean, his nephew. Jimmy is Timothy's nephew. A lot of people didn't know this, but Dick Van Patten and Timothy Van Patten were brothers, even though they were like 50 years apart.
I was going to say, that's a big time difference there.
Did you know that?
No, I figured.
I mean,
hell no.
Yeah, so Dick had 3 children, Nels, Vincent, and Jimmy. And Timmy Van Patten was Dick's brother. A lot of people, mostly nobody, knew that. So all of Dick's kids, I think, were younger or older than Timmy. And he was their uncle.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, Todd Bridges is actually calling me on the other line right now, but I have to let him wait.
I emailed his manager today.
Yeah, you told me.
That's behind the scenes. That's how you get things done, fans. You have to email people until you basically harass them into saying yeah, or you have a partner that knows everybody and he just makes a phone call. So, you did, one of my favorite movies, right in 1984, you did Streets of Fire. Was that a pretty fun experience? Because, I mean, that's a pretty elaborate film to have that comic futuristic look, especially back in that day.
Walter Hill is a pretty well-known director, done a lot of big movies, and that was my first time working with him on this movie, Streets of Fire. And yes, man, it was one of the funnest experiences I've ever had in my life. It was me, Robert Townsend, Michael T. Williamson, and Graham Bush, who was the Sorrells, that singing group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as I was telling you earlier, that Streets of Fire movie was supposed to be a trilogy for Michael Pillay, who was the star of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, they ultimately didn't do well in the box office, but it became a huge cult, like, classic.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember one time, Montel Williams, the talk show host?
Yeah.
He was in the Navy. And one time I was telling him, he was telling me, he says, dude, every Friday, the whole crew on the ship, when we were out at sea, would watch Streets of Fire. He goes, it was the biggest movie for us, and everybody on that boat loved it. And he said he was just a huge, huge fan of Streets of Fire. But yeah, it became this really big cult hit. And a lot of people like it. It was an awesome movie too.
Oh, I love it. I think I told you I have an original poster. I got it as an anniversary gift. It's framed in my basement. You know, I've got the movie. You know, got the DVDs, the Blu-ray, everything. It's I liked it back then, and I like it now. It's one of those movies that it's just as good today as it was all those years ago. It held up perfectly.
Absolutely, it held up really well.
I could have done without
I wish we could have done the other two.
I could have done without Willem Dafoe in the leather chap outfit, but other than that, he wasn't a very intimidating looking biker to say the least. But the film was good. I don't find Rick Moranis funny at all, but he played a little weasel in the film, and he did a great job.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that was a great cast too.
Great soundtrack.
And we all got along really well. Every one of us, from Willem to Rick Moranis. Amy Madigan was in it.
I mean, it was just I know a few years back they made a kind of a quasi sequel, in kind of insinuated, so to speak. Albert Pune made it, but it was not a great follow up. Unfortunately, it wasn't. It'd be nice if they could do a proper follow-up to it, even now, like some movies do, like in a comic book form or something, just to kind of tell you what happened to everybody after it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anybody mention something like that happening, but yeah, that would be cool.
When you said it was going to be a trilogy, did they have scripts ready for the other two, or were they just going to make it as they went?
I don't know. I don't know if the scripts were ready or not for the other two, but I do know that it was supposed to be a trilogy. It was called The Adventures of Tom Cody.
That's a simple name.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was his character, Michael Corleone's character.
Yeah.
He got really, really famous and pretty hot in the industry when he did Eddie and the Cruisers.
Mm-hmm.
So Universal picked him up and gave him a movie deal. And that movie was expected to be huge, and it kind of sunk at the box office when it came out. The whole eastern seaboard was frozen over, so people couldn't even get out and go to the movies. So the movie, box office-wise, flopped, but then became a cult hit.
It was great. Another one you did that I really liked was Knights of the City.
Knights of the City. Oh my God. That's a crazy little story. Back when we shot that movie or did that movie, I had an agent. His name was David Wilder, and he was part of putting that movie together with Leon Isaac Kennedy. And I had known Leon. We were pretty good friends. He's a little older than me, so he was kind of like a big brother to me. I looked up to him, because he was doing all these movies. He was married to Jane Kennedy, and she was like the Halle Berry back in the day. And so I met Leon at our agency one day, and he was telling me what was going on. And my agent David was telling me. So the three of us were sitting in there, and Leon said, I don't really have anything specifically written for you, Stone, but I want you in the movie. So I want you to just come, just be there, and we'll just throw you in wherever we can. I'm like, cool. So I went down to Miami and Fort Lauderdale for like 3 months, man. And he was just like throwing me like in all the scenes, because he had like this, he was about a gang. And so I was in the gang. And then I would just add lib lines here and there all over the movie, so it looked like I had an actual part. But no, thanks to Leon, he's like, come on, man, let's just go do this. And we did. That's what we did. I went down there, and I was just in all the scenes, and I would just ad-lib shit. And that's how it went.
That movie was great. That's another movie that still holds up good to this day.
Yeah, and I got to work with and meet Sammy Davis Jr. because he was in the movie, and Smokey Robinson. And I just really, really, I have so much respect for those two guys, just as people, and then as the artists that they were. People don't know this, but Sammy Davis Jr. is probably one of the most talented people that's ever been in this business. The man could do everything, and not just do it. He did it well.
Oh, he could sing, he could dance, he could act, comedy, drama, you name it.
He was a gun, not a gunslinger, but a person that does tricks with pistols.
I didn't know that.
Oh my God, the dude was incredible. Like pistols and holsters and stuff, flipping the pistols around and twirling them around in his hands and putting in his pocket and drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was an expert at that shit. And a lot of people don't know. But he did like a few episodes of this whole series called The Rifleman.
Yeah.
And if you go back and see some of those episodes that he was in, you can see him doing some of his gun tour stuff. He was amazing.
I got to know, in 1992, and I remember I saw this right before, when I was still in school, you did Trespass with Ice-T and Ice Cube.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think that they would go on to be, Cube is a producer, does family movies and stuff now. Ice-T is the world's dumbest cop on Law and Order. Did you ever think that they were going to go on to be like, these huge megastars in Hollywood?
Yes, I did. Our industry is fascinated with these rappers. And I know a lot of my actor friends used to get pissed off because whenever the movie and studios or networks were going to cast for parts, they would always go to these rappers. The rappers had these built-in audiences, which made them names. So and so it was different for black actors. They never set up movies and TV series for us to become names. So when it came time to go read or audition for these movie parts and these TV parts, all the parts were being given to the rappers, the Will Smiths, and do you know that I was originally considered to be the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
No, I never heard that. That would have been pretty cool gig, though.
Most folks don't know, but back then, when I'm trying to think of his name, he's now a huge manager. He manages what's her face, Jennifer Lopez. But he was the creator of the Fresh Prince. It was really loosely based around his life, and he used to be real close with the Gordys, the Barry Gordy family, and yeah. So he came to me and he says, "Hey, I'm going to do this project, and I really want you to star in it." So he had me dangling on a string for months. And then one time I reached out to him, and he was in New York, because he had become a big record executive with one of the big record companies. And he was working with Paul Anka on something. He told me, he goes, "Man, I'm too busy right now to talk. I'm with Paul Anka." He goes, "I'll call you back." He never called me back. Next thing I know, things started to develop, and Will Smith was cast in the part. Hung out to dry.
That's not cool.
Well, it is how it goes sometimes.
But you hit the nail on the head. They had a built-in audience. I remember when New Jack City came out, and I was still in high school when that came out, and nobody cared that it was Mario Van Peebles. Nobody knew who Wesley Snipes was. It was like, oh, it's Ice-T, you know, and MTV covered it. That's Ice-T. That crowd went to, you know, at least the crowd that I was there when I went on opening night, they were there because of Ice-T, just like Boys in the Hood. Ice Cube sold it. So, I mean, I get why studios do it, but, you know, those two actually had natural talent when it came to acting.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Ice-T's a fool because on Law and Order every week when something happens, he goes, I've never seen this. I don't understand. It's like, how long you been a cop? You don't know much of anything.
That's funny. Well,
plus, I remember going to the Body Count concert when he did Cop Killer, and you know now he plays a cop. That's always, you know, for a guy my age, that's always very ironic.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I was hanging out with him a lot during that whole Body Count era of his life, and I went to so many shows and concerts that he did as his Body Count. But during that time, this was after Trespass. As a matter of fact, when Walter Hill, he was the guy that directed Streets of Fire, he called me up and goes, hey man, I'm going to do this movie called Trespass. He goes, I want you to come in and see me. So I go in and meet with him, and he wanted me to play the role that ultimately ended up going to Ice-T. And he was fighting with the studio because he was like, I want this guy, which was me, to play that role. And Universal was telling him, no, we need a name. And so Ice-T ended up getting that part. Then I was going to move over to the other role. Then the studio wanted Ice Cube. And they thought it was going to be the ticket. Ice Cube and Ice-T in the same movie. So Walter was like, don't worry about it. I'm going to write you something in the movie. And kind of he did the same thing that Leon Isaac Kennedy did with me on Nights of the City. He goes, you're going to be in the movie, and I'm just going to write you lines in like every scene that we have. And that's what he did. So that's how I ended up being in Trespass. Because the studio didn't think my name was big enough for the Ice-T role. Story of my life, man.
That was an early T film, too. I think for both of them, I think that was right after New Jack and Boys in the Hood, because I remember that was the sell point of the movie. It was Ice-T and Ice Cube together.
Yep. That was the studio.
And, you know, but now I got to, before we talk about the upcoming project, I got to skip ahead. You know, I mean, sure, you were in The Fan with Wesley Snipes and Robert De Niro, but, you know, you were in Black Scorpion 2 Aftershock and the TV show as the Gangsta Prankster. I love me them Black Scorpion.
Yeah, so you said.
I mean, the outfit alone makes you love the show.
I know, man. I had to go through hours of makeup to put that prosthetic piece on my face to make my face look like it was distorted. Oh, that was miserable. But shooting the actual show itself in the movie was all fun.
I would say it had to be fun because you could tell it was kind of just a lot of it done on the fly. And I mean, my God, you had Sherry Rose, you had Joan Severance. I mean, that one picture I posted, I didn't even know that was you in there. I'm busy looking to the left, you know, in the Black Scorpion. That was, you know, that was classic.
Yeah, Scott Valentine was in it.
Yeah, he was her partner. Yeah, from. I always want to interview him, but I never want to ask him about Family Ties. I just want to talk about his time as the Black Scorpion. I'm a huge fan, the comic books and all. I just, I know it was just a Roger Corman quick thing that they came up with, but I thought it was genius. It was like, if you've never seen it, it's like Batman 1966 with hot women.
Hey, I'll try to set up an interview with Scott if you want.
Oh, I talked to him. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I'd love to talk to him. I'd just ask him about Black Scorpion, though. I don't care about Family Ties. No, that was great. I mean, was it a lot of fun filming those?
Oh, man, it was a blast. It was a blast. We had a crazy director named Jonathan Winfrey. That dude was cool. It was funny. When you work with directors like him, the Walter Hill, those guys, man, they just make it. They just make the atmosphere. And that's what good directors do. They make the atmosphere on a set fun, and they can either destroy it or they can make it the best. And those types of directors are able to do that, to make, you know, these movies and being with each other and around each other for all these weeks and months tolerable and fun.
Tell me
so,
about...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was just going to say, yeah, we just had a lot of fun. Mostly everything that I've ever done has been, like, really, really fun. I mean, there's been a few projects where I just like, oh, God, just horrible. But anyway, go on, man. What were we going to say?
I meant to ask you in the beginning, what was it like working on 227?
Another place I had a blast. Learned a lot about comedy timing and sitcoms from Jack Hay and Marla. But everybody on that cast were awesome. Awesome actors, awesome people. Including Regina King. No one ever expected her to blow up the way she has, so I just so happy for her. She's an amazing actress, an amazing talent. But you never really would have known that back when we were shooting that show. It was just a little sitcom.
Yeah, I was always a big fan of Hal Williams. I always found really funny.
Another great guy. You know, I had done a guest star episode on The Jeffersons, which featured Marla's character.
Oh, yeah, she was Florence. She was Florence, that's right.
Yeah. And so most of my scenes on that episode were with her. So, you know, we had become, you know, like, we're good friends. I guess she respected me and my work. And when 227 came up and I went in to audition for it, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know she was the one that was pushing for me to get the part. I never knew until afterwards. Yeah. She pushed for me to get that part, and I ended up getting it. And it was funny because it was between me at the end and Chris Rock. And they kept having us go to the network, auditioning in front of the network. And, you know, I found out that she had a lot to do with pushing me.
Well, that's really
getting the
nice.
part.
It's always nice to hear things like that.
Yeah, yeah. And then when we were doing it afterwards, I ended up getting her a part as my mother in a movie we did with what is Ron's last name? Remember Superfly? The guy that plays Superfly?
Ron O'Neal.
Ron O'Neal. So I already had the part in the movie, and I was talking to Ron because Ron directed it. And I was saying, you know what, man, I could get Marlon Diaz. I bet you Marlon would come and do the movie with us and play my mom. And he goes, okay, talk to producers. Everybody was like on board. I called up Marla and I told her, I said, hey, you want to play my mom in this movie? She goes, yeah, send me the script. Sent her the script. Next thing you know, she got all hooked up with the producers and everything, and she came on.
Nice.
And it started me and her. Yep.
Was it cool working with Ron O'Neal?
Yeah, it was, man. I was in awe of that guy because of Superfly, so.
I got the Curtis Mayfield soundtrack on vinyl for that movie. I'm a big fan of that film.
Oh, my parents had that too.
I don't have a record player, but I got the vinyl.
Yeah, my parents have all those old albums. They still have all that.
The new Superfly is not very good. The original Superfly is where it's at. Superfly TNT ain't too bad either, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big, like I said, I'm a big fan of all those films.
Yeah, I know you are.
I actually have encyclopedias on 70s exploitation films that people always ask, like, I might find a picture of something I haven't seen one day reading this, and then I'll have to see it, so. Plus, it would look weird if I didn't read from time to time, so. Now, tell me about your new show. Because I know I'm mispronouncing it when I say Sangre Negra.
Yeah, I've had issues with the producers on this. But I'm one of the executive producers of the show, and I'm always telling them, and we gotta add black blood to the title. It's pronounced Sangre Negra.
Okay.
Sangre Negra, and in Spanish it means black blood. The main character is a really close friend of mine, a longtime friend of mine, named Anthony McKay. We created this show, and then I came in and helped get it financed, and he ended up writing me in the show. So I have a nice little role in it, but my main thing on it is I'm one of the executive producers of it. But Sangre Negra is it's a family crime drama. Eric Estrada plays his father, who ultimately had an affair with a black lady many years ago, and they have an illegitimate son, which is Tony's character. And he has two other sons by his wife. And so Tony's character, who's Ricky Santos, he gets along really great with the older brother, but he and the younger brother clash and bang heads all the time because his character is a police detective and Tony's character is a gangster. So his ex-girlfriend, who he has a child with, a daughter with, is now engaged to his younger brother. So you've got all that turmoil between the two of them and all that drama. And then Tony's character, obviously, he's this, like this ladies' man, and he just gets all the ladies, and everybody wants to be like him. He wants to try to take over this mob thing, and it's just, it's a series, and it's an ongoing serial. But it's pretty good, actually. And there are a lot of characters in it.
Where can we watch it at?
Okay, it's going to be on Tubi this Friday, the 18th. It's going to be on Tubi as well as other streaming services, but it's starting off on Tubi. And Tubi is a free download. I'm sure you've heard of it. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, so we are actually going to be its first mainstream new television series, because most of the things that they have on there are like older shows and shows that were series on the air. And, you know, of course they have like a lot of movies and stuff, but this is going to be like their first run television series. So it starts this Friday.
And now is it going to, you said it's going to be on other services as well, like down the road?
Yes. Yes.
Were you ever nervous Eric Estrada might bust out the kung fu if anybody got out of hand on set?
Man, if he does that, I'm gonna run. I've seen those clips from Chips.
Yeah, I remember you laughing pretty hard when I sent that.
Oh my God, man, I was cracking up. I never really watched Chips, you know, when it was on at the time. But man, when you sent me those clips of him doing those fight scenes, I had never seen those before. I was crying.
I mean,
it was funny.
I mean, Bruce Lee was okay in Enter the Dragon with the nunchucks, but nah, not compared to Punch.
Yeah, that was quite comical.
It was, you know, but back then, I mean, what was that James Bond movie where Roger Moore did some judo, which was the sloppiest, like 2 hip tosses. But back then, man, people saw it and they want, oh my God, this is judo. I got to learn this, you know, and you know, you watch it now and it's just horrible.
That's what made Bruce Lee so popular. Like, nobody had really seen, people heard of Kung Fu, heard of karate, but nobody had really seen it in the aspect of how Bruce Lee presented it. And it was just like, oh my God. And that dude just blew up because of it. And then everybody and their mother started trying to take karate lessons. And the next thing you know, everybody's a karate expert. And most of them didn't know shit.
I like to think I'm pretty good. I've studied it long enough. I'm no Bruce Lee, but
well, I'm not even talking about you. I'm talking about all these actors. All these actors sitting there making everybody think that they're all tough and they're all these badasses. They really don't know squat.
See, one thing that, and you were in, you worked with Don the Dragon, and one of the things I always like when I watch a karate movie, I want to see Don the Dragon do real karate. I want to see Chuck Norris do real karate. Cynthia Rothrock. I don't need to see a superhero movie where the guy, which I like, with the guy doing fake karate. I'd rather see the authentic stuff. That's why the 90s, 70s, and 90s both were such good times for those kind of movies.
Yeah, Don the Dragon Wilson was the real deal. That guy could really fight. He's the real deal. And Chuck Norris knew his stuff, too. I will say that. Chuck Norris did know his stuff.
Yeah, if I had to bet on a fight between the Hollywood actors, I think my money would go on Chuck.
If I had to put money on Chuck and Don, I'd go with Don.
Well, Don is younger now. Let's not forget about Steven Seagal, though.
Oh, God.
He could eat them.
I ain't gonna comment.
You know, if it was,
if
it was boxing, I'd go Leon Isaac Kennedy. You know, he did them penitentiary movies. You know, where every movie he got framed for a murder.
Oh, no.
He needed to leave town.
Leon, let's say Leon is more of a runner than a fighter.
Did you see his penitentiary movies?
Of course.
I mean, you gotta love. I mean, the guy really should have moved because he must have been the only criminal in town. Every time something happened, he got thrown back in a different jail.
Those movies were funny, though.
The third one, where with Mr. T and the Haiti Kid, that's probably the best one of the bunch. It's so crazy. I remember the Haiti Kid was called Thud, and he was the guy that ran the cell block.
My favorite character from those movies was Half Dead. Remember Half Dead?
Yes.
I'm gonna kill you.
I believe in part 2, wasn't Half Dead Ernie Hudson in part 2?
Mm-hmm.
I remember they had 2 different Half Deads.
Mm-hmm.
No, those were great. I mean, especially when your character's name is Too Sweet. You know, you don't get better than that.
Nope.
Well, it's a
Too
shame.
Sweet and Half Dead.
It's a shame you weren't in those movies.
Yeah, hey, are we gonna call Tony?
Yeah, we can call Tony right now.
Hey, Corey, how are you?
Good. How's it going? So you guys are in the same room and we're talking on the phone.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's the same house, but not the same room. So.
Oh, I got you.
It's not quite that bad, but close enough.
What? Tell us.
How are you, man?
I'm good. Tell us about how you came up with the concept for the show.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, myself and my co-creator, who's also our director, Frank Pinnock, we were working on another film. Actually, Stoney was supposed to be a part of that one too. And we were just about to get some financing, and then that day, the financing fell through. So we were just really frustrated. We hadn't filmed anything, and we said, you know what, we just got to do something. And at that time, web series were just popping off, you know, and we knew that we could probably at least do that with the little money that we had. So we put our heads together and said, well, what were our favorite shows growing up? And we came up with Dallas and The Sopranos. But how can we make those things more interesting and a little bit more diversified?
Plus, how do you combine Dallas and The Sopranos too? That's
how do you combine Dallas and The Sopranos? And that's what he said. Well, we took the family aspect because Dallas is all about family,
mm-hmm.
and I always remembered that the guy who wound up being the main star was ostensibly the villain of the show, but he basically became the show. In JR.
Yeah.
So I said, wouldn't it be cool to have the villain, because we haven't seen that for a long time, where the bad guy was actually became the popular one in the show. And what else can we do? Well, let's make it diverse. So we're going to make it a Latin family. And they basically took off from there. They just threw around some ideas and came up with that concept of the three brothers. With me, my character being the outsider and the one that turns to crime, and the other two are these upstanding citizens. Eric Estrada, who was also upstanding outside of his one indiscretion when he was very young. So, which is me. Yeah, I kind of explained that to him a little while ago. You did? Okay, there you go. Yep.
Plus, you have to have Eric Estrada be, more straight and narrow. He was a motorcycle cop all those years, so.
Right. He's still a cop. Believe it or not, an honorary cop in I think it's Wisconsin or something like that. And he still does he still tries to get into that tight costume and ride a motorcycle around. People pay him. Yeah, these are official. These are actually an official show.
That's scary.
It's funny. Yeah, it is scary. How'd you like to be stopped one day with this punch?
That'd be kind of cool though if you think about it.
Yeah.
You could keep if he wrote you a ticket, you could just keep it as an autograph and say you didn't know it was real.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, Shaquille O'Neal is a sheriff too. So a couple of people have been stopped by him and like, wow.
Oh, I mean, there'd be no crime if he was a sheriff.
Exactly.
You'd tip your car over if you're speeding or something. I wouldn't. Who's going to mess with him?
Exactly. You'd be surprised though. Everybody wants some of them.
I mean, everybody wants to be a tough guy, but then there's also being just stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of them though.
Yes, there are. So the show is gonna it's gonna be Tubi. It's gonna be this Friday, the 18th. What time? Yeah. Because it's a streaming service. Is it on a certain time, or is it something that's going to be able to just be downloaded and watched?
You just be able to download it and watch. It'll be on, and it's supposed to be one per week. But eventually all of them will be up, so you can binge them too. So they'll all be up at the same time. But they're going to be released each week until all 8 episodes have shown for the first season, and then like Tony said, all the episodes will be up. Once they each individually come out.
How long are each episode?
It's about an hour.
That's the perfect thing. Now is the perfect time to binge. I mean, everybody binge watches now. I think more and more people do it that way than watch the stuff when it's on.
Yeah, a lot of people do, especially because everybody's in quarantine or semi-quarantine, unemployed, whichever way you want to call it. We also a lot of people are watching television, so that's why these streaming services have become actually bigger. And then all the movie theaters are closed. It's actually a boom for the streaming services.
Yeah, I mean, we've only got one movie theater here that's open, but I don't want to go and somebody cough on me, so, I'd rather just watch it for now. I mean...
Everybody's scared of that, too, right?
I mean, where I am, they, block it off. Like, if say we all went, they'd block off 2 seats, on the sides of us. Well, if I'm sitting next to you and I cough, you're fine. If I'm sitting behind you and I cough, I'm spitting on your head. So I think blocking off on the side's kind of stupid.
Yeah, that is true. It's going to take a while for people to get used to. Like I said, they figured out how to do it in Japan now. I guess they all have plastic divisions in between, and like a plastic bubble each seat. Yeah, Japanese always come up with something.
I'll stick to watching my stuff at home right now. Vaccine's out now. We just got another probably good 6-7 months, but this time next year, I'm sure I'll be at the movies watching something.
Yeah, definitely. Let's hope so. God, I missed the movie.
Did COVID make it hard for you guys to film this at all?
Excuse me?
Did COVID, did it make filming really hard or anything like that?
We actually filmed, Stoney filmed actually one of the last scenes we filmed, and that was like, about a month before we had to close down.
Okay.
Yeah. So it didn't really affect it too much, but it affected a lot of, like, we were going to shoot some more scenes. We had Richard Grieco. I don't know if you remember Richard Grieco from 21 Jump Street.
I interviewed him. Real good guy.
Oh, yeah. He's very cool. He's a friend of mine, and he's going to be in the show. And we were supposed to film a scene with him, but COVID kind of stopped all that.
Yeah, kind of. I know a few people I know that are working on the Magnum PI show. They said there's actually people there employed to make sure that they're standing so far apart.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know if you heard what happened, I guess, yesterday on the Mission Impossible 7 set.
Yeah, I heard that on the news this morning.
Yeah, Tom Cruise lost it, man. One of the crew members were, we got to remember, Mission Impossible has been closed down for like 3 months.
Yeah.
So he wasn't happy with that.
You can't fault him. I mean, that's, if something happens, that's money out of his pocket.
Yep, he actually has put some of his own money in there to house everybody, so they're all going to be in a bubble. So he paid for all of that, everything. So he, you really can't blame him.
No, not at all.
Criticize him, but I don't really blame him. In this case, it's like, hey.
No, it's serious business.
That's literally his money.
Well, yeah, it's his money. He ain't going to lose his money.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm taking
a lot of people.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that this whole industry is on a. I would say it's on a precipice.
Yeah, when
lost so much money and so many things have happened that could actually destroy the movie industry.
Oh, I know when Fast and the Furious 9 got delayed a year, I was ready to start breaking stuff.
Mm-hmm. And the James Bond movie has been delayed like 4 times.
Yeah, but I saw like what HBO, everything that comes out in theaters, they're going to have on their streaming service the same day. So, streaming really is, as much as I'd rather go to a movie, streaming is the way of the future.
Yep, it looks that way. Yeah. They just didn't figure it was going to go as quickly as it has, but because of the pandemic, it's been accelerated.
Well, I want everybody to watch, I'm going to mispronounce it, I bet, Sangre Negra.
Well, that's not bad.
Not bad. Okay.
Well, it's pretty good.
I want everybody.
Come to the people on the show.
I want them going to be on Tubi. Now, I'm going to have the link in the description of this. And when this is up...
Sangre Negra. And just want to say this one thing, Corey. Even though it has a Spanish title, Sangre Negra means black blood. And the show is completely in English. It's not in Spanish. There's no subtitles that people have to sit there and try to figure out and watch. I know a lot of people don't like subtitles, but it's an American, it's an English show. It has the Spanish title, Sangre Negra, Black Blood.
The link's in the description for everybody listening. So after you listen to this, you can click and I'd prefer you listen to this before you go watch it. But if you want to watch it and then go back and forth, that's okay. But either way, a click's a click. But I want to thank you two guys for coming on and joining me this evening. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Corey. We appreciate you, man.
No problem. I will get this promoted. And everybody, real quick, where are you guys? Social media? Do you guys have websites? Are you on Twitter?
Well, we have a website for the show. Basically, www.sangrenegratheseries.com. And then my Instagram is Amax at Sangre Negra, which is Stoney. I don't do all that social media stuff now. I barely have a Facebook page, Corey.
Oh, you got a good Facebook page. We were friends before I even knew it. I'm like, you on Facebook? Yeah. Then you told me, oh, now I got you.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook too with my name, Anthony McKay.
All right, I'm going to send you a friend request too.
Okay, cool.
Well, like I said, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, man, we appreciate you, and it was a lot of fun, my man. Hope we'll do it again.
Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. You have been listening to the Chronicles of Hollywood History. Thank you from Gomez Richmond Productions.